Hi everyone, my name is Florentine and I help people succeed with astral projection. Alright guys, in this video I want to talk to you a little bit about how vision is out of body. Like, how do you see when you get out of body? Is it like this, like physical reality, or what's the difference? Like, how do you see things? And what's interesting is that there isn't a one way of seeing things. It's not like how it is in physical reality. With our physical body, we have these eyes, which pretty much work the same as a camera. And they're very, very mechanical. They have lenses, and they can only see a specific amount in peripheral vision and distance, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of limited to the physical aspects of our physical body. But when we astral project, when we go out of body, we don't have the same limitations as our physical eyes. So we can perceive things in many different ways. And so, we can have a vision where everything has like this kind of bluish tint, and we can have a vision where everything is a bit more orange, or a vision where we are able to, for example, we can look at an object, and as soon as we look at that object that's further away, we have like this zoomed in version of that straight away. So we get like a zoom effect on things. Or we might look at let's say maybe a furniture in the house, and we can see through that furniture, like an X-ray vision. And also we can have a spherical 360 vision where you can see in all directions at once. And that's very difficult for us to wrap our head around, because obviously we never experienced that in physical reality, because our eyes are locked into just looking straight. But there are different ways to see things in the out-of-body state. And it's important to mention that, because sometimes people have this little fight. Oh, you had that vision. Oh, that means it wasn't an astral projection. That was just a lucid dream, or that was just your imagination, or whatever. But consciousness isn't limited to one thing. It's not black and white. We have rainbow-colored abilities and experiences. So there's different ways to see things. All right, so one way that I was able to perceive reality when I was out of body was this one time when it was funny because I was struggling to get my vision to work at first. So let me go through the whole step. So, I go out of body, and this is my one of my old, I used to live in London back in the days, and I go out of body and I'm next to my bed. So doing the classical sitting up from the physical body, leaving the physical body behind, and now I am standing next to the bed and I have no vision. I don't see anything, it's just black. But you can still have other senses that work, and normally your sense of touch and sense of movement is always the first one that you experience. So as I'm standing here next to my bed, I can feel the carpet of my floor. I had this like puffy carpet. I can feel the fibers. I can feel the carpet as if I was standing there physically, like that kind of sensation. And at the same time, I'm holding myself next to like my kitchen table, so that I basically hold myself in a way so that I'm stable and I'm standing still. And as I'm doing that, I'm trying to work on my vision. So one of the first things you want to do when you get out of body is you want to work on your vision, and you want to work on your awareness. You want to raise your awareness a lot. So I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, come on, awareness now, vision now, come on, work, come on, vision work. I'm trying to get my vision work, and it just doesn't work, it's just black. And after trying that for a minute or two, I was like, okay, it's not working. Perhaps I'm too close to my body, because that can sometimes interfere if you're too close to your physical body. So I decided that I'm just going to move away from the physical body. I'm going to go outside of my flats and then work on my vision there. So now I'm just kind of like floating around like a blind person, touching myself around the room, trying to get to my window. And so I'm holding different objects, I'm pulling myself around the room, and then finally I get to the window, and now I am trying to get myself through the window. And so you can penetrate objects, physical objects, when you're out of body. And so I put my right hand through the window, and now it's interesting because you can feel everything. Like I put my hand through the window, I can feel the window kind of just brushing through, like that doesn't hurt, just like I can feel the surface, the thin surface of the window, I can feel it going through my hand, or how my hand goes through it. And then I'm grabbing the sides of the frame of the window, and I start to pull myself out backwards. So I put my head first, like in the window, and then backwards, going backwards through. And as I'm pushing my head through the window, I can feel the surface, the thin surface of the window, passing through my head, all the way, passing through my body. And as soon as I got my head out of the window, I could hear sounds from outside, like really clearly, much better than I was hearing it when I was inside my room. And that's not always the case, because sometimes you can get into this state where you can hear sounds that are maybe 200 meters or even further away from where you're practicing. Because you don't hear with your ears, you hear with some other forms of, you hear with your awareness, right? And so as I got out of the window, I am now holding myself, my hands on my energy body hands on the side of the window edge. And I used to live on the 3rd floor. So then, I'm holding myself to the edge. You always have this sort of reflex that you need to hold yourself to things because you think you're gonna fall or something. But when you're out of body, you don't fall. You're not, gravity is not pulling you down at the same rates as it does with your physical body. It still gradually pulls you down if you don't try to lift yourself up. It takes you down slowly, but it's like a very slow kind of process. So I'm now holding myself on the edge of the window, and I'm hearing like sounds from outside. I can really experience fullness of the sounds outside, and I can feel the texture of this window, and I'm fully immersed, but without the visual part. So I still don't have any vision. So then I just kind of let go of the edge, and I feel myself floating down, and I get all the way to the 1st floor, and I land on the grass. It's like a little garden there in front of this house that I used to live in. And I can now feel the grass with my feet, and I'm like, okay, now I have taken a lot of distance from the body. Now I should be able to get my vision to work. So I start doing the different reality checks and different techniques to get myself high in awareness, to get my vision to work. And then slowly, as I'm doing that, the vision starts to appear, and I start seeing the grass, I see the bush next to me, I see the flowers, and everything is like super vibrant, the super saturated colors, everything is like really alive, really beautiful, and it's really bright, like from going from blackness to not seeing anything to like super bright, like colors, like whoa. And at first I didn't know why I was experiencing everything so bright and so live. I could tell there was a difference, but I couldn't really tell what it was. And what's interesting about me is that when I because of my background in as a filmmaker and visual effects artist, I've worked with recreating reality in a computer on many projects. So when you have to recreate reality in a computer, you have to really understand how light works. You have to understand shadows and highlights and bounces and ambient light and direct light, like all of these things you have to really understand like a scientist, so that you're able to recreate that in a computer. And I can always see if something is, if I look at a computer graphics image, I can tell if something is off. I can see, okay, the shadow is the light is not good enough or whatever. So when I'm exploring, I have that sort of scientific eye. I look at things from a perspective of this sort of scientific, I don't know what you call it, like a scientific vision. Or I look at things in great detail and analyzing how things are appearing and why. Like, where is the shadow? Where is the light coming from? Where is the shadow? All of these things. I look at things in that way. And so I was looking at everything around me in that way. And at first I didn't notice what was obvious. But then later on, as I am looking around this garden, there is a road in front of the house. And I decided to go to a road and check out the cars, check out the people on the road. And I suddenly see a group of guys cycling past the road. And so I just decide to float up to the first guy that's cycling. He's like one guy cycling in the first, and then there's like his friends after, and they're all kind of happy cycling. And as he's cycling, I'm floating next to him, and I'm kind of looking. I'm checking him out. I'm looking at what he's, looking at what he's doing, what he's saying, and he doesn't have any idea that I'm floating next to him. A bit creepy, I guess. Physical people cannot see you when you're out of body. You're like a ghost. Some people they're clairvoyant, they can see, but most people cannot. So here I am, I'm floating next to this guy, and I'm looking at his face. And this is where I noticed something that was really interesting to me. I looked at his eyes, and I went really, really close, and I started looking at his eyes. And what I saw is that his pupil wasn't black, it was white. And because I'm, visual effects artist, I understand how light works. The reason we have a black pupil is because there isn't enough light from outside that enters the eye to light up the inside of the eye, because it's like a hole. Pupil is a hole that you see that inside the eye, and it's black in physical reality because there's a external light source that comes in and it creates a shadow inside there. You don't see anything there. But here I am seeing a bright light inside of his iris, and that immediately at that point I immediately understood. Oh, this is why everything looks the way it looks. Everything was lit from within, like everything had its own light source. Every single cell on his face had a tiny bit of light. Every single cell in the bush and the grass and everything I was looking around had light coming from itself. There was no external light source that was sort of creating a highlight and a shadow. Like, there was no shadows. Everything was just lit from inside. Not like in a glowing, weird way where it's like glowing and bright. It's just a tiny bit of light in every single point on his face. Every single cell was glowing, and that's why his iris was white, and his face looked a bit different. And I remember I got so surprised and amazed that I said like, I guess out loud, I was like, wow, that's awesome, or something like that. And as soon as I said that, for some reason he could hear me, so he got really scared. It's like, he looked in my direction, like, what the fuck, what was that? And then he told his friend, like, I just heard a voice, like, just in my ear, And that's something I found a lot of times when I explored, that people can hear you when you sometimes, not always, but sometimes people can actually hear you, but they cannot see you. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, so that was that experience, and it really got me to experience this different way of seeing reality. Now, if you have some interesting ways that you've saw reality or that you want to share, I'm really curious to hear your experiences. So if you don't mind, comment below this video. Let me know, the kind of visions you've had. And if you maybe haven't had any out-of-body experiences and you would like to learn how to have them, I suggest that you get in contact with me, send me a message or comment below, and let's have a talk, let's have a chat, and see how we can help you to get out of body and start exploring the non-physical universe, to connect with guides, to connect maybe to deceased loved ones, to expand your consciousness, well, really to go beyond the physical and do so many, many, many things. Like, the list goes on and on and on. So let me know. Until next time, take care, guys.